Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I am going to do the last unit of class 8 geography, that is human resources. Now first, what do you mean by human resources? Okay, before that, what do you mean by a resource? Resource means anything that is valuable and useful to us, right? So just like land, water, minerals and people are also resources. Now you may wonder, how can people be resource? See, when people have skills, knowledge and abilities, they can use them to create or improve other resources. That's why we say people themselves are human resources. But if a person has no skills or no knowledge and no ability, then he cannot be considered as a resource. He cannot contribute much. So people become human resources only when they are educated, trained and healthy. For example, as I told you, healthy, educated and motivated people can develop resources as per the requirement of their country. Now next, let's talk about distribution of population and population patterns. See, in some areas of the world, people are densely crowded, while in others, very few people live. For example, very few people live in high altitude areas, tropical desert or high mountains because living conditions are tough there. But many people live in a low-lying plains in areas with moderate climate and fertile soil. Most people live north of the equator, then south of it. Almost 3/4 of the world's population lives in Asia and Africa. And interestingly, 60% of the world people live in just 10 countries. And you can look at the graph in your textbook. It shows how unevenly people are distributed around the world. Now, what do you mean by density of population? Density means the number of people living in a unit area of the Earth's surface. It is usually measured as a number of people per square kilometer. The average density of population in the whole world is about 51% per square kilometer. But remember, this data keeps changing every few years. And since your textbook is based on 2021, new data might be different. Okay. Now, let's come to the factors affecting the distribution of population. These are very important to understand. Now let's come to the factors affecting the distribution of population. The first one is geographical factors. People usually prefer to live where conditions are comfortable. So the first thing they look at the topography. People prefer plains over the mountains because plains are good for farming, building houses and industries. That's why the Ganga plains are one of the most densely populated areas in the world. Then next is climate. The people avoid living in extremely hot or extremely cold regions. So they prefer areas with moderate climate. The next one is soil. The people settle more in places where the soil is fertile and good for agriculture. And then water. Water means in easily availability of fresh water is the must for drinking, irrigation and industries. And next is minerals. Means in areas rich in minerals like in diamond mines of South Africa attract people because they provide employment opportunities. Second one is social, cultural and economic factors. Social factors are the areas with better housing, education and healthcare tend to have densely population. For example, Pune is densely populated because it has all these facilities. Cultural factors means places with religious or cultural importance attract people to settle there. For example, Varanasi, Jerusalem, Mecca, etc. And next, economic factors means people prefer to live in places where there are more job opportunities and industries. So cities like Mumbai, Delhi and Tokyo have high population density. Now let's talk about population change. Population change happens due to the change in the number of births and deaths. For a long period in human history, until the 1800, world population grew very slowly. Why? Because although many babies were born, many also died early due to lack of proper healthcare and food. In 1804, the world population reached 1 billion. By 1959, it became 3 billion. By around 2000, it doubles again to 6 billion. Today, it's about 8 billion and still rising. Why did this happen? Because of better food supply, medical facility and living standards, which reduces deaths and allowed people to live longer. Now, let's understand some terms. Now, birth rate means number of births per 1000 people in year, and death rate means number of deaths per 1000 people in year, and migration means movement of people in or out of area or a country. In difference between birth rate and death rates in country gives the natural growth rate of its population. Now, remember these two words carefully. Immigration means people leaving a country. To remember these, E for exist. So, immigration means people living. And immigration means people coming into country. To remember, I means incoming. You can remember like that. So countries like United States gain population through immigration because many people move there for jobs and education. Now let's see the patterns of population change in the world. Population is rising rapidly but not in all countries equally. In some countries, population grows fast because of better healthcare and education. In others, growth is slow or even negative because of low birth rates or poor health countries. Because of low birth rates or poor health conditions. Now let's move to the population composition. People in a country differ in age, sex, education level, health, occupation and income. So population composition means the structure of people in a country, how many are males or females and how many are children, adults and elderly, how educated they are and what kind of jobs they do and what their income and health levels are. This information helps the government to plan for schools, hospitals, jobs, and other services. Now look at the population pyramid. It shows the age and sex structure of the country. The bottom part of the pyramid shows the children below 15 years, and that tells us the birth rate. And top part of shows the people above 65 years. That tells about the death rate. The pyramid also shows how many dependents there are. The young dependents below 15 years and elderly dependents are above 65 years. Those between 15 and 65 are called as working population. Now in the countries like India, the pyramid has a broad base because there are more young people. That means birth rate is high. But in countries like Japan, the pyramid is narrow at the base. This is pyramid of India, and this is the pyramid of Japan. The pyramid is narrow at the base and wider in the middle and the top because they have low birth rates and longer life expectancy. So by just looking at the population pyramid, you can understand how a country's population is growing and what kind of challenges it might face in the future. And with that, we come to an end of this unit. That is the last unit of class 8 geography book. I will upload the next unit soon in the coming days. Till then, like, share and subscribe to my channel.